right, Nick, there's big news in the Denver Broncos world. Obviously, Coach Nathaniel Hackett is out. He's no longer around. And the Broncos seem to be trying to narrow their sights on who the next head coaching target of this team is going to be. And I think there's a lot of great things about how they did it, the way they did it, Nick, because they're one of the first teams out there that has a few decent pieces on this team. The defense is really nice. The offense, it could use a little bit of work, but I think there's a coach that could come in and kind of turn this team around. And we have a story about who we think is the best fit for this Broncos team. But before we get there, Nick, I want to ask the Broncos fans, who do you want to be the head coach for this Broncos team? Who do you think would be the best fit? Let us know in the comments below. I'm interested to hear what you have to say. You know this team the best. Let us know who you want the coach to be. But Nick, what do you think the Broncos are targeting as far as head coaches go?
Yeah, so this was first reported by the score.com. This was on Sunday. I'm going to read from the report here. The Denver Broncos have contacted Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh about their coaching vacancy. The Denver's new ownership group reportedly intends to be, quote, ultra aggressive in securing the team's next head coach. So, of course, going after Harbaugh is the definition of ultra aggressive. Harbaugh was, of course, 44-19-1 during the regular season of the San Francisco 49ers, took him to a Super Bowl berth where he lost to his brother against the Ravens. He's been very successful everywhere in Stanford in college. He's successful now with Michigan, of course, taken to the college football playoff in back-to-back years. And there's a couple connections here, right? Condoleezza Rice is, of course, part of the managerial ownership group there in Denver. Condoleezza Rice also has connections to Stanford. Harbaugh has connections to Stanford, so there's some connection, some linkage there. It seems like the Denver Broncos are zeroing 100% on John Harbaugh, and they seem to be, with the Walton money behind Denver right now, willing to write him a blank check and a lot of leadership oversight and control to get him to Denver, to turn this football team around, to play up to their level, and most importantly, to fix Russell Wilson. And I think if there's one guy who could fix Russell Wilson, it may just be Harbaugh. People remember Alex Smith. When he was drafted, originally he was a bust. He stinks. He's terrible. Harbaugh gets to San Francisco, turns his career around. They win a lot of games, go to the playoffs with Alex Smith. Alex Smith went, of course, then on to have a very nice career with the Chiefs as well. Harbaugh could fix Russell Wilson and turn this program around. I really like the Denver Broncos going all in on Harbaugh. It seems to be the really right move. Give me your thoughts on this decision to just focus and really zero in right now on Harbaugh.
Yeah, Nick, I love Jim Harbaugh. I love John Harbaugh. I love all of the Harbaughs so far. I think they're all really excellent coaches. He's been successful in the NFL. Obviously, he had differences with the GM of the 49ers at the time. And that's what I love about Harbaugh. He takes no nonsense, Nick. He has a problem. He's going to leave. He's going to go to Michigan, who wrote him, another blank check S type move to go be the head coach at Michigan. And they are now a powerhouse, as you said. He's led them to the college football playoff. They beat Ohio State this year. Big time stuff for Michigan. They're looking really good. And Harbaugh is the perfect guy to come into Denver, because you hear all of this like nonsense type stuff that Denver had going on. There's rumors that like Russell Wilson wasn't even in the locker room. He had his own office or some crazy stuff like that. And he kind of feels distant. He kind of feels like he has this weird superstar air treatment, and he hasn't had the play, Nick. He has been very far from that on the field. And Jim Harbaugh just isn't going to put up with anything like that. He's a no-nonsense guy, and I think that he is a perfect fit to kind of whip this Broncos team back into shape, especially offensively, and get them headed in the right direction. I think he's an excellent NFL coach, and I think he's a really, really strong fit for what this new leadership of the Denver Broncos is looking for, Nick.
Yeah, and one of the things, I don't think this is something that came out of the blue, obviously. I think the reports are coming out now because Michigan season is over. I think the Broncos are now going more public with this. It makes sense. Harbaugh is not coaching any more football this year. Now's the time to go after him. And here's one thing that people may have forgotten. About a week ago, the Broncos owner, CEO and co-owner Greg Pinner said that the new head coach will report directly to him. That's very strange in the NFL. Normally you have, owner, GM, head coach. You have that kind of hierarchical structure. Now it's going to be kind of a pyramid where you got the owner, the GM, and the head coach. Harbaugh, like you alluded to, he had a lot of fights and disagreements in San Francisco, mainly under Trent Baalke. That's why he went to Michigan. That's why he left San Francisco. I think if he goes to Denver, Denver's setting it up right now. Say, hey, listen, we're correcting the problem you had in San Francisco. You were so great with them. You did such a great job. Went to the Super Bowl, won a lot of playoff games. You had fights with the GM. He was your boss. You had to go. That you're not going to have that problem in Denver because we're setting up just the way you want it, to where you're reporting directly to the owner of the football team. I think Denver is preparing to pull out all the stops. That was the first stop about a week ago when they set up their new organizational structure. I think blank checks are coming. I think all kinds of dollars are coming to get Harbaugh in Denver. And let me tell you something, Mice. I think Harbaugh is listening. I think he's done what he wanted to at Michigan. He kind of took them out of, the shadows. They were terrible. They were doing bad, got them back to prominence. They beat Ohio State a couple of times. He obviously may want to win a national championship, but that's kind of a tough goal to meet. He did his job. He resurrected the Michigan program. I bet Harbaugh wants to go back to the NFL and get another shot at a Super Bowl champion. And I would not be surprised at all if the Broncos pull this off and officially lock up Harbaugh. I think we're going to have to keep an eye on the story because this is only beginning, this Harbaugh to Denver connection.
Yeah, Nick, and I want to reiterate there's been two things that I've read this year. One is Jim Harbaugh has stated this year that he has not closed the door on returning to the NFL. And
Correct.
two,
Yep.
we can't forget that Harbaugh was really, really close last offseason to signing with the NFL team. I believe it was the Vikings that he was looking to interview with for a long time. Didn't end up working out. But Harbaugh is definitely interested in coming back to the NFL. He was interested last offseason, and he even said this year he is still interested in coming back. So I think, like you said, really good selection, really good option, and I think Harbaugh has his ears open to any offers coming his way.